You, this is point blank. Coming in hard and off the card. Coming with the flu straight from the barrio. And coming with the heat from the damn street. Coming with the facts, the crackbacks, and the boom bit to the lying ass ladies. This is PBNN, point blank. National news. The late and the great edition. As you see. As you see. Because this is what we must do. Now, today, we're going to talk a little bit about the Demon Democrats. Now, I'm going to run through this real quick as best as possible to give you an upgrade picture. It's not going to be accurate. I'm not looking for that. I'm not trying to present that. There's going to be a lot of things that are going to be skipped by on the matter. Now, when we look at the Democrats and the shit that was going on, let's go back, some years, slavery, and different shit they were doing throughout the world here in America as well. You know what I'm saying? We saw where the states were united in many ways. As I explained in my other video, they were united. Excuse me. There came a split, you know what I'm saying? There came a split in the states where the Southerners, or those we consider Southerners, or those who split and lived in the South, whatever, created their own government. We know the story, yada yada yada. Now, when we look at the understanding of what took place and caused the Civil War, we know what caused that. The economical, gaining power, capitalists and federalists and all these different things were going on at the time and so forth and so on. The Republican Party was strong and coming through. Now, let's go up. We're going to skip past that up to the Civil War. Now, the Civil War is where things had a mighty change, you know what I'm saying? Especially after the Confederates losing the war and also having to endure the rundown by the capitalists and using the military to run across the southern land, taking their houses, buying up their houses for $5 an acre and shit like that, and a whole lot of different things were doing this, and then even saying they're going to take it from you anyway, you know what I'm saying, and a whole lot of different things took place to the Southerners under pressure, as you can see, that continued. Now, even during after the war was over, you had many factions of Southern and secret societies and Southerners who were, still fighting the war long after the war was over, such as we see with many wars. And then one thing people didn't understand was the Civil War never ended for the Southerners, and probably not even the Northerners. But the war never really ended. What took place in the next war was a political fight to get into the political game, to get to the top of the ladder. You see what I'm saying? Now, the Democrats were losing all around the board. The Republicans were putting a whooping on their ass. My ancestors' shit was doing wonders on theirs. But the war still didn't end. So they were still doing secret missions and doing this and that and weaving their way into this and weaving, as you can see what happened to the Republican Party. Now, when we look at even after that, you know what I'm saying, when we come up more to like the 60s, you know what I'm saying, and many different things just before the 60s and so on, one thing the Demon Democrat War in its secrecy took a different turn. Now that turn was to, because they were beginning to get very unpopular with the Ku Klux Klan shit, the killing of black people, so on and so on and so on. You know what I'm saying? And Jews and so on and so on. And they was killing, Muslims and all kinds of people that were killing these Ku Klux Klan idiots. You know what I'm saying? And then after that, you know what I'm saying? They were hate, like I said, they were hating on all types of people. But you know what I'm saying? After that, they took another turn. Now that turn is being that they had founded the KKK and you know what I'm saying was unpopular and was coming down and trying to beat up on the the people voting for Republicans, so on and so on and so on, and starting their own parties and so on and so on. They took another turn. Now that turn is where a lot of people who would say stuff like this, um, what does it matter? This is 2023, so who gives a flying vote? You know what I'm saying? Would say something like that. You know what I'm saying? Don't see where that switch come in because they're not going to do no research because they're only thinking of 2023 and here and now. But when we look at that turn is where they decide, okay, they want winning offices, they want popular, they want none of this, they want none of that. So the only solution that they had was their covert operations of now taking off the Ku Klux Klan robe. You know what I'm saying? Many of them took off the Ku Klux Klan robe and became, a somewhat called model politician. You know what I'm saying? Now, when they became this model politician and so on and so on, they weaved their way into government. Once they weaved their way into government, they was able to, facilitate many of the others to follow the same pattern, come through, and they all combine together, yada 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 yada. Because many of the politicians were actually going, the even Democratic politicians were actually going to Ku Klux Klan rallies, and probably was even out there marching with them in Connecticut and many different places, with a hood hiding their face. You know what I'm saying? Because this is one of the things that they were doing. Because, like I said, it was a outwardly terrorizing terrorist organization that the demon Democrats had put into place in order to keep them in power once they had made that transition from that brutal and racist way you're rallying out there in the streets and different shit and this and that and the third to being a politician in government and thinking that nobody knows who they are because they're a politician and they got the minds of the people on the political game, such as you could see with the Bible. You know what I'm saying? Now, when we look at that and they weave their way into government, over the years they've been covertly doing that. But then another thing happened where they started to conspire against the United States to destroy it in more ways than one. We could say that. We can know all the intricacies as to what and this and that, but we're skipping. You know what I'm saying? And so on. So when they did all of this stuff in there, now they were conspiring in bed with the very enemies because their ideology has many different twists and turns. Neocon, neo this, neo that, believing it's neo-Nazi shit, and so on and so on and so on. Secret societies, all types of different individuals popping up out of nowhere, getting involved in our government and so on and so on. So when we see now that they're coming, they're all up in there, you know what I'm saying? They go along with all the other shit that is plaguing within our government. You know what I'm saying? And even transpiring with outside foreigners and other countries and other leaders transpiring and giving them headway into our country. This is where the country, why you see places like Detroit, the Motor City steel industry and all of that started to fade away and go overseas. You see what I'm saying? Because the Democrats was allowing a lot of this to happen and was promoting it. So the Ku Klux Klan and these racist groups, you know, that was good. Decide that they're gonna get all up in our politics and our government. hmm Once they did that, they also made another move to transcend over into the Republican Party and infiltrate that party, as we saw, many of the different things that happened. And once they start to infiltrate the Republican Party, we notice the more persecution on the black people, the Ku Klux Klan hanging, the flags, all this bullshit, burning crosses, all that type of shit. You see what I'm saying? So we know full well they're Luciferian in itself. You know what I mean? So they started to do all of this and that, and then transform it into the Republican Party. So in the Republican Party, you had many members who were not really Republicans. They were really demon Democratic or implants into the Republican Party and had been sitting there for years. So which why the Republican Party needs a cleaning out from the infiltration, even going back to the many years behind. You know what I'm saying? Even then, but at that time it was impossible to do it. But now we can clearly see that it needs a cleaning out in a reformation of its structure that made it what it is in the first place and the creators of it and the foundation of it. You know what I'm saying? And we must drive out. Like we have a guy right now that's holding a case with Trump and he's a Republican. And this Caucasian dude won't move the case to the federal court. You know what I'm saying? He's kind of blocking it. I don't know if he changed his mind or whatever he did. But any Republican in the Republican Party, and my man Doc Rich said the same thing, and I've been saying this all along. Anybody knows and been watching knows I've been saying this all along. Anybody that's in the Republican Party that is not for the people and not about cleaning out our government and cleaning out the beast that's dug into our country deep, you know what I'm saying, must not be reelected. He must not be reelected. His reelection or his run in the government must come to an end if he do not transform into what the Republicans need to bring Donald J. Trump back on the slide. You know what I'm saying? At the same time, there's another aspect to this. That aspect has to do with what I'm seeing now. And Doc Rich is also showing black people standing up and standing behind Trump. You know what I'm saying? But before they weren't doing that, were they? Trump was the worst guy in the whole world. Now, one thing black people is going to have to learn to do is to see the truth, what is behind, in the present, and in the future. No more of this is 2023, so fuck what happened, so on and so on. That means you are dissing our ancestors' work and our ancestors' dream and our ancestors' strength, power, and glory for a time in which there is chaos in itself. Our ancestors didn't do that work to get to chaos. They did it to give the same person saying those types of things the freedom that you have standing where you are now. Because it could have been worse. You understand? Many families have been genocided by, you know what I'm saying, these demons. And that goes for the Indian, the half Indian, the Indian that is could be considered a $5 half breed Indian or whatever you want to call it, and the Africans who are the original people of the Indian race in itself. Even they have had their families and people damn near genocide by these beasts. So we have to start looking at this thing from a better perspective. But the point remains is that once they made that transition of to take off the robes of the Ku Klux Klan members and become senators and governors and all these different shit, we saw, and many of them that were already governors and this and senators or whatever, they were already in the Klan once they were doing that anyway. So it happened even back then, you know what I'm saying, through all the way through, even from slavery times and before and all the way through to now that what we see. But many of the hard radical ones is who I'm talking about. Now, they did that transformation. All this happened to pass. They got into the Republican Party. They festated it, you know what I'm saying, so on and so on and so on. And now they move forward. We need to see more black people in the Republican Party as well. Now, the point I'm trying to make is once they got to all of this is done and said, and they're in there now, they have sold out to many countries. They have let these people come in our country secretly and dig holes in our grounds threaten our energy, you know what I'm saying? Threaten the military bases and setting up all around inside our country. Now, once all that was done and said, we see where these crooks and these secret societies, these different people, or whoever they are, is messing in the deep state shit with these people that have transpired right now because white people and black people have been voting demon Democrats for years, now have allowed in our country for many years the work of the evilness of the beast to dig into our country deeper than you know. Now, my mother used to say that many things can happen, and it can be at the worst of the worst of the worst. And once you find it, you would say, well, damn, how deep does this shit really go? It's too late for that because they have already dug into the guts of America's system. You see what I'm saying? And they're working from the inside out. This is what Biden is doing also. Along with them. You could tell that's what they're doing because he's claiming that in many of his speeches. Or many reporters are saying he's building the country from the inside out, not from the bottom to the top, from the top to the bottom, the top to no, because we know for well that they have already dug in. They're in here in our country, all over it. Like I said, even underground with canisters and all types of poisonous gas and all kinds of shit going on. And it's the worst of the worst that you've ever seen. You know what I'm saying? Because of people like creepy Joe Biden and the demon Democratical, you know what I'm saying? Because like Biden's been lying all his life. You know what I'm saying? Everybody knows that. We don't need nobody to tell us that because we was watching the reports and watching Biden creepy ass anyway. He been lying for years. That's all he ever does. Because he's in bed and they put him in there to do this shit that do this shit and open that door, you know what I'm saying, so they could dig in. Now they have dug in because you keep on electing these creeps and these crooks and all kinds of bitch ass motherfuckers that coming out these deep state and all kinds of different shit. And you continue to keep voting them in because they have presented to you a political overstanding based on the fact that we no longer have this. We're not going to show you our most deepest evil side, but we're up here as your greatest politician and in your face and making you see us as, we're the politicians of your town. You know what I'm saying? We're the politicians of your state. We're the congressmen of your state, and we're doing our job, and on to, and all of that bullshit. You see? So they're able to fool you. You know what I'm saying? The old saying is, yeah, a fox ain't gonna let you see him. You know what I'm saying? You could run after a fox, but he gonna go under a hole. You know what I'm saying? While you over there smelling that hole, he came up out of another hole and watching your dumb ass over there sniffing. You know what I'm saying? Trying to see if he could get in that hole. You see what I'm saying? And the fox done fooled you a long time ago. You know what I'm saying? So the next part of this is where we're at now in all this deep garbage shit deep dug into our country and probably, you know what I'm saying, is at its most threatening level, is black people, black men, especially black men, you know what I'm saying, must follow the path of your ancestors and run away. Anybody that's talking about this is 2023, the fuck all that. No, you look into the past of your ancestors and what they did, these 150 black men that stood up and started the Republican Party. We need more black men to follow the lead of Donald J. Trump. Just because he's a what? Just because it's Donald J. Trump and in your mind you can say he's white or this and that and all that. We don't want to hear that fucking shit. Because it should have been alongside of Donald Trump, or Donald Trump should have been alongside a black man, or a black man and a black man should have been in there in the first place. But it isn't so, as we see, don't we? So now that Trump has led the way, many black men must now follow that path and get into our government and governmental things. You know what I'm saying? They cannot tell you what to do based on your party and your game. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, you've got to get in there without that and start to infiltrate this government in which your ancestors had structuralized in the first place. Because if they're allowed to come into the Republican Party and sabotage it we're allowed to join the Republican Party legitimately without sabotage, you know what I'm saying, and be more activists in our community as far as putting the strength and the power into the chief of commander seat that will give us the power to run these motherfuckers upon our country. You know what I'm saying? And the world as a whole. And the world as a whole. So we've seen where they went from, you know what I'm saying, their political vibes, you know what I'm saying, losing the Civil War, but still the political president, this, all this, that, and then creating the Ku Klux Klan, and then the Ku Klux Klan creating a hardcore members of these radical motherfuckers who are doing bullshit, take off their robes, and many of them became governors and something like got up in the party. That's why Biden is a part of it, and that's why he called them heroes, because he's a part of that same shit. His parents owned slaves. So there was always a part of that white supremacy. I'm the brightest, this, that, and the superior, and all that bullshit. You see. So now that they put that in there and they took off those robes, many of them, you know what I'm saying, and got into the political game, now you may have over 500 of them or more in our political system who have sold out to many countries, China, all of them, and they were able to dig into our country deep as you can see. You know what I'm saying? So black people has got to do the same and dig into your government and your ancestors' party, no matter what position you play in it, whether it's activist, you know what I'm saying, or whatever, you know what I'm saying, a rallier, an activist, or somebody for the Republican Party on this holding political talk and political stand. Fuck what they're telling you about smoking weed. Because we know that weed is a natural herb and and a medicinal herb as far as a medicine is concerned. It cures many things, or it helps to soothe many things. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? What does heroin soothe? You know what I'm saying? Other than make you a soothing junkie. You know what I'm saying? So when you grow the natural herb naturally, no additives, no preservatives, no chemicals, the herb is in its natural form and it's great and it tastes very good. You know what I'm saying? And you could smoke it, and you could drink it, and you could eat it, whatever. You see what I'm saying? So it's a herb. So it should not be put into no category alongside no hard drugs. This was to make it. This is to make it that they could lock up the majority of the people, which would be black, brown, Latino, and so on and so on. That's what that was all about. You know what I'm saying? And at the same time, want to facilitate the drugs into the community that many black men and many black people would not be involved in the political scene. You see, would not be involved in the political scene because they are doing drugs, they're getting high, they're forming gangs, they're bringing corruption from many other deep state individuals facilitating certain black dudes to come up with their neighborhood and bring a lot of this shit in, and then it goes on for years and years and years. Long after that, the individual have died. You know what I'm saying? So we have to start to move into government as well. We need to take back what belongs to us, and that's the Republican Party. Donald Trump is telling you that in more ways than one. Donald Trump is sending the message out there to you, brothers and sisters, to make you understand that what they have done, even to the Republican Party, in which he is now representing, you know what I'm saying, is facilitated by the demon Democratic Party in the fact of con games and playing bipartisan and crossing party lines, holding both positions even many years ago. Call himself a Democrat Republican where he has majority Democratic views. That's why it's first, and then the Republicans that he don't always go along with what they say, and in his card, so he has a Republican views as well. But there is no two sides. You know what I'm saying? The Republican Party is the Republican Party. The Demon Democratic Party is the Demon Democratic Party. You know what I'm saying? And they need to be put into their place. So we need more black men teaching your sons and your daughters to become stronger in the political game, not just stronger in fucking, sucking, drugs, guns, and gangs, and jiggling their big fat ass, which do them good. But it's not the only way. So we have to start looking at this as a whole. If they could infiltrate our shit, what's wrong with you legitimately going up into your shit and becoming a model and a strength and a hero of your community and your state all over the United States? You let Chun Li and all kinds of Japanese come up in here, Chinese and shit, and Muslims, and they're now taking over even Jamaica Avenue. And one day, Jamaica Avenue, where everybody goes shopping and all the black people and stuff, is going to be shut down. It might be the regular stores along the script, but it's not the avenue itself where everybody go hang out and buy clothes and shop and stuff on the Ave, Jamaica Ave, that they call the Ave, where all the shops are, and we know that everybody should know where Jamaica Avenue is if you live around here, because everybody goes shopping there, even for school shopping and stuff like that. It's going to be shut down. You know what I'm saying? A family took it over. I think they might be Jewish. They took over it and bought it, and they're going to build high rise and apartments and all that. So all the shopping area is gone. Like they said, it had its time and its place. Everything will change. But we need to see more black men stepping into that political arena on that open door that Trump has provided for you. He has provided a bullet hole right through that shit. And he have laid down that path in which we must go. The path in which our brothers and sisters must now start to get into. You know what I'm saying? And by doing so, you would push out the evil. You see? Because we know for well that Trump is not going to be there, even if he wins, forever. So this is the time for black men to wake up to what your ancestors many, many, many years ago built, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Took its losses and now must return to its first base. So black men, it's time for us to start to get involved, get concerned, teach at home our children these things and make sure that we do. Because like I said, they did it for theirs. That's why they took off the robes and now calling themselves governors, politicians, and so on. Because we know for what many of them, even before that, were doing the same thing. And they were be in control of the South or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But they weren't really into like what we see the Ku Klux Klan as we see today. You know, they were part of their secret little society or whatever they were doing. You know what I'm saying? And when they created that, that's why they went to the rallies also, because that was their creation. You see. So what does it matter in 2023? Is to know our enemies and who's doing what as we see. So sometimes you have to go back and look at what took place, who took place, what did it do, how did it change, and when did it change, where did it change, and up to now. Isn't that what you're supposed to be doing? You can't dwell back in the past, but you could sure look up the informations and the different things that took place in the past and bring it forward to 2023. Oh yeah. hmm And then we must look forward past that into the other light. So we have a lot of work to do. We cannot just sit up here and only facilitate, saying, fuck that. You can't build nothing on fuck that because you got yours and nobody else do. We can't have that.